All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am no one. And in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about all things Caravan related because I've ran a lot of Caravans in phase 1 and phase 2, and I have a lot to talk about. I realized after talking to a few people in my Discord and a few people in my guild that there are some misconceptions about Caravan. I wanted to get a guide out there for those of you guys that are playing that aren't running very many Caravans, and those of you that will be joining eventually in the future, why you should run Caravans. So yeah, we're going to do a deep dive, so let's just get started. First things first, why run Caravans to begin with? Because they're insanely profitable. You make way more money in general running them than not. Overall, I have put hundreds of hours into phase 2, probably closing in on 1,000 hours of phase 1 and phase 2 at this point, and I've lost a total of 3 Caravans in general. Now, obviously, Caravans, the amount of Caravans you lose depends on a variety of different factors. How powerful your guild is, how powerful you are when you run them, where you run them. All these things are choices that you make. But regardless, I think there is a lot of nuance to the overall cost of Caravans. There's a lot of nuance to the ROI on different Caravan runs to where most people can be profitable with the right choices. And so let's just explain why. First of all, you have a really good return on investment for different node runs. I think the lowest ROI return is just under a 3x, and that's going from Halcyon to Winstead. I want to say it's like a 2.7. I could be wrong. It's somewhere around a 3x. Some ROIs on other returns are anywhere from 10x, 20x, and as the map gets bigger, your ROI is going to get even larger. And so if you invest one bright glint worth of glint into commodities, you can get potentially 10 glint when you drop it off at a node farther away. And so what this means is if you have a 10x return, in order to break even on Caravan runs, you only need to be successful 10% of the time. And so if you invest one glint and you lose 9 out of 10 times, but you're right that one time, you make 10 glint. And in that instance, you are making the same amount of gold, even with massive amounts of fails. Even losing 90% of the time, you're still breaking even as far as Caravan runs go, roughly. Of course, there are other costs, but just like in baseball, where somebody that fails 70% of the time can be the best baseball player in the world, in this game, depending on the ROI, you can fail half the time and you're still going to make way more gold than you would if you just traded your gold into a node. And I wanted to provide an example, my own personal experience with my hours playing in Alpha 2. Now, this is just a generalization. There are places that give more glint, there are places that give less. This is just overall general, but for most points of interest where I go out and I'm grinding glint, different areas, I gain about 2 bright glint per hour, which means I gain about 2 golds worth of glint per hour, which means that I am gaining 0.03 gold per minute that I am out grinding, killing mobs, collecting glint in the average areas. And so we know that I am making 0.03 gold per minute. I just want to provide this as an example. Now, for some of you, it's going to be less. Your clerics, your bards, you're out there solo grinding, you don't have as much damage as I do. You're not going to make as much glint as I do. And for some of you, it's going to be even better. You got a secret spot where you're making 4 to 5 bright glint per hour, and you're not going to tell anybody. That's fine too. You guys can do your own math. You can do your own numbers. It's okay. Well, I just wanted to provide an example. So if I only trade in my glint to a local node, I will make 0.03 gold per minute doing so. Now, the Caravan run I'm showing you in the background, I am running from Athenar to Asmaran. Now, I chose this run because in the morning, there's not many people on. I know I'm not going to see very many people, and both these nodes on Vyra, at the point in time of this recording, they had speed bonuses for Caravans. And so this run takes me 4 minutes and 35 seconds. Now, because it's such a short run, because it's so fast, that means that I'm not out there for very long. I'm not out there. It's hard for people. It's going to be tough for people to run across me out in the world, right? Like if I ran an hour plus long Caravan run, I'm going to run across more people than I will on a 5-minute Caravan run, right? And so if we do the math on this, it takes me about 35 minutes to get the amount of glint I need to fill my Weeping Willow Caravan. So it's about 35 minutes. And then it takes 4 minutes and 35 seconds to run this Caravan run. So my overall gold invested after I do all this, glint gold return at the end is 4 gold, 3 silver, and 83 copper. Now we can do my 39 and a half minutes roughly, divided by, I could take my 4.3 gold. Let's restate this. My 4.3 gold divided by 39 and a half, and I get 0.11 gold per minute, which means that this specific return that I'm getting is almost 4 times more profitable than if I just turned in Glint at the local node. And so it's 4 times more profitable. And because it's so profitable, I can afford to lose quite a few caravans. I could lose half the caravans on this run, and I'm still way more profitable than I would be if I didn't run any caravans at all. Ashes of Creation is a very gold-based game. You need gold in order to improve your gear. You need gold in order to improve your tools. Like if you're out there collecting and harvesting, you need better tools. And if you don't know how to collect certain things, you might need to buy them off the trader. And so you're going to need gold for that. And so these different upgrades require gold, and Ashes of Creation is very economically driven. And so that's why it's so profitable to run caravans. Now, a lot of people know this, and you know, that's why you run caravans, and maybe some people don't. But regardless, you should be running caravans, because as long as you're choosing the right times, as long as you're choosing a time and off hours, or you're choosing a route where you're not going to encounter many people, or you're running with a lot of players to where you can defend your caravans, most people should be successful. Now, I am not saying to run like prime time on a Friday night through the middle of Vera, you know, like where you're going to encounter a lot of people, you're going to be out on the road for an hour plus. That's probably a bad choice. You're going to run across more people. You're going to increase your chances and risks to getting attacked. And even though the ROI is very good on a 10x, 15x return, it's probably not worth it because of the amount of people you're going to see. Like it's going to be tough to realize those profits. Now, if you chose off hours, if you took a longer run with off hours and with a few more people to protect yourself, you're going to increase your return on investment in those different ways. Now, another way to increase your return on investment is to not invest as much in your caravan to begin with. Now, I know Ashes of Creation and other MMORPGs, it's all about progression, right? You want to progress your character, you want to progress your armor, you want to hit harder, you want to be more tanky, and people want badass caravans. Like everybody wants the highest level caravan because it feels almost like a status symbol, right? Like, hey, I got this badass Braidwood caravan, I have legendary wheels, I move really fast. You have to also just keep in mind that the more you invest into your caravan, the more profitable you're going to have to be on your caravan runs in order to make that cost worth it, right? And so when you look at it, the basic caravan that you buy and you can deploy, it doesn't carry as much, it's slow, it doesn't have as much health, but it only costs 10 silver. It's next to nothing to deploy and run a cheap basic bitch caravan because it is a tool to help make you more money. That's how you have to look at these things. This thing is a tool to help me make more money long term. I know of a few people that have gotten too invested in expensive caravans too early, and they got a little bit out over their skis to where I've heard them make comments like, man, I really need this caravan run to be successful, because they have so much gold and money invested into their beast of burden, into their caravan, and then they have their glint. If they lose it, it's going to hurt them really bad. And so that leads me to my last thing. Risk mitigation. You need to put yourself in a situation to where you're not risking so much that it hurts to lose. When I've lost caravans in the past, early on in phase 2, I lost a very nice Weeping Willow caravan, which was a top of the line one at the time. And in order for me to return that, I would have had to go out and, spend 3, 4, 5 gold worth in order to get that. Now, starting off, I didn't have a ton of gold. That was a very large investment for me. And I decided not to do that. I decided to run the basic caravan for 10 silver because, like I said, it only takes me like 20 minutes of grinding glint to pack that caravan and then run it. And sure, it's going to be slower and whatever, but if I lose that, I don't feel bad about it at all. Okay, I'm out 20 minutes of time and 10 silver. Okay, I'll go do that again and I'll be better and I'll choose my time more wisely. It doesn't hurt to lose the lower level caravans when you have less invested. And so coming from a poker player with 10 plus years experience of playing, you have to mitigate your risk. You don't want to have, just like in poker, you don't want to have your entire life savings on the table at any given game, because an 80% chance to win still means you have a 20% chance to lose. Over time, you will make money in these situations. Over time, running hundreds and hundreds of caravans, if you choose your routes wisely, you are going to make more money doing so. But you may, at any point in time, lose 1 caravan in a row, 2 caravans in a row, 3 caravans in a row due to Alpha 2 or running into players at a time where you weren't expecting to run into players. Sometimes just RNG happens. And so you want to make sure that your caravan, if you lose it, you don't feel, it doesn't hurt as much, right? And so you can mitigate your risk by lowering the costs, is my point. And so you have a wide range of costs. You can spend 10 silver on a caravan. You can spend 20, 30, 50 plus gold, like 100 gold on a caravan if you want to. But just know that the more you invest, the more often you need to be successful. And so depending on who you are as a player, depending on who your guild is and how successful you are on runs, depends on what you should be running. Now, for me personally, as an example, I'm not part of the biggest, most badass guild on Vyro. I'm not. I'm not in Polar. I am not in Nova Ordum. I am not in one of these really large guilds to where I can run large amounts of caravans. I know that if I run across people, most guilds are going to have more people than us. We're a smaller guild. We like to fight outnumbered, but if I'm trying to make gold, I'm not trying to fight outnumbered with my money. I'm trying to fight outnumbered with their money. And so I'm going to pick and choose my spots wisely. And so for me, I don't run the most expensive caravans. If you're one of these big badass guilds, yeah, absolutely. Amp up your storage, amp up your speed. It's going to benefit you to do so, because the better your guild is, the bigger your guild is, and the better they are at defending them, the less often it's going to be that you're actually going to run across a force that can fight you. And so, yeah, you can maximize your returns that way because you know you're going to be successful so much. For me personally, I'm just running a Weeping Willow caravan with some basic armor that I picked up. I went out and I chopped some Weeping Willow and I had a buddy craft it. And my overall investment into my caravan is like 1 gold's worth of processing, tops. So, and some time. So it's 1 gold's worth of processing. And then I have a Beast of Burden for like another gold or 2. And so for me, I already paid that off on my second run. My first run was to pay off, the Glint in general, and the second run is to pay off the caravan. Anything after that is, profit for me. And with this specific caravan, I've probably ran 30, 40 of these runs at this point, and I haven't lost it yet. So I literally have 100% return on this specific caravan. I was yielding more profit at caravan run 3, and now I'm at 30, 40, and I'm still yielding a return. So I could go higher, but I just don't want to. I'm gonna run this one until it dies, and then maybe I'll upgrade to another one. But regardless, that's how I think you should be looking at these things. I think you should not always look at getting the most expensive or fastest Beast of Burden. I think you need to look at your overall risk. If it's gonna feel bad to lose a 5 gold Beast of Burden or a 10 gold Beast of Burden, don't buy that one. Just go, okay, I'm gonna be a little bit slower. I'm gonna have a cheap one. It's gonna take a little bit more time, but if I lose it, I don't feel too bad about it. That's how you need to mitigate your risk in caravans. And I think that's a mistake quite a few people are making right now. Because yeah, we never know when, the Intrepid RNG demon's going to happen and you get ported off to Carfin and your caravan disappears, never to be seen again. You don't want to have that when you have 100% of everything you have invested into it. It doesn't hurt nearly as bad when it's only 1%. So yeah, overall, though, those are my tips. Pick and choose your times wisely. Pick and choose your routes wisely. Bring a couple friends. Bring a lot of friends if you have a big guild. Schedule your big events. And also just know that you doing this is insanely profitable. Even on the short runs, you don't need to be successful too much to yield a better return than you do just turning stuff in. So that's the end of this video. If you guys have any question or comments, please provide in the comment section below. Hopefully I provided some input here. If all you guys got from this is, hey, this guy's a PvPer, he wants you to run more caravans, I gotta say, yeah, I absolutely do. I want to have, it is one of the systems I'm most excited about, attacking and defending in general, but it's good for you too. It's good for both sides, right? It's good for attackers because obviously they make gold attacking when they're successful, but it's also good for caravan runners. It's really hard to fail so much to be a negative in profit at running them, is my point. And so due to the design, just like in the videos I said, I talked about a year ago, you should run caravans. Run caravans, make more money, or don't and make less money. It's up to you. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.